Hello, people. Welcome back to another comments video by your good friend Chad Marco, the big on the key. Make sure you guys check out my other social media. Attack that like button right now. And yeah, I'm just gonna respond to some of the good comments from the Chad Marco clan. So let's get right to it. Okay, so Satori Blue 1349 says on the Herpes Girl video, respect for not fucking your friend's girl. I had the opportunity before as well and didn't do it. Only thing is, they are now 3 or 4 years deep in a relationship and will probably get married at some point. And I've never told him. I was the one who set them up together. And she tried to hit me up a few weeks after they started dating. Do you think I should mention it ever? I'm leaning towards no. It's the first time I've ever seen my friend happy. Yeah, that's a pretty difficult call because it's something that happened during the earliest stage of their relationship, and they've been together now, what you said, 3 or 4 years. But that's a bad sign, because if she did it at all, even during the early stages of their relationship, it's not impossible that she could have done it again. I kind of just feel like you waited too long, man. Like, this is something you really should have told him early. But if it was a good friend of mine, I think I would tell him before they get too serious, because that's a big red flag. And I think you would feel worse if something happened, like she cheated on him after they got married or something like that. But again, it's a tough call. I think for me, it would really depend on how close we were. If we were good friends, I would tell him. But I just think like the best time to tell him is probably gone now. I would probably really just take a step back because it's been so long. I think you kind of waited. I think you just waited too long. I think at this point it's better just to take a step back and let things play out however they will. But in the future, I would suggest to any guy, if you catch your friend's girl doing something or she's hitting on you, I think it's best to let your friend know as quickly as possible. And so Hellbreaker said on the Chad Marco calls out the so-called porn addicts video. I disagree. I'm not surprised. But disagree with what? That's like, I'm fine with people disagreeing with me, but then disagree with me on what? Because anybody that's gonna come to me and say I disagree that porn isn't as bad of a vice as the things that I listed, you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. You're out of your mind. If you're one of these guys that are saying, oh, pornography is as bad as heroin, you're crazy. You need to be in coastal plains. So Elijah says on the Life is Neat video, thank you for this song. It's Life Fuel. Just finished NHK today. And then Night Clips as how was the anime? And then Elijah as replied, hello friend, thank you very much for asking. Welcome to the NHK has found a place in my heart. At first I thought there were too many episodes, but after finishing it, I just miss watching. The drawing style is really nice despite the fact that this is a 2006 anime. For me, it was about finding the meaning of life, and even if most of our time is suffering, it's worth living for our loved ones and those brief moments when we smile. You know, it's been a while since I've watched Welcome to NHK. I definitely will do a Welcome to NHK review, don't you guys worry. But yeah, it's been a while since I watched it, so I can't really, I can't really give a proper critique of it right now because it's literally been years. But it definitely is a good anime as far as like showing off the neat life. I would say the only bad thing about it, which is also the good thing about it, depending on how you look at it, is Misaka. Because Misaka is a young girl that sort of acts as this random catalyst for adventure for Salto. Because really without her, he wouldn't have had much going on, right? Because she was like a semi-crazy normie girl that was trying to pull him out of his shell, and that kind of made the story more interesting. But I just think that as a neat, most of us, or a neat, a hickey outsider, whatever the case may be, most of us could never relate to that aspect of the story. The fact that he had a young girl who took an interest in him and was trying to help get him out of his shell. That's the part that I think, again, it adds a certain value, but it takes away from guys like us being able to truly relate to it. And so Chad Peel says on the 4chan racism response video, I don't think 4chan is going to get taken down because it's a good place to run psyops. Now, see, I've heard that before, that some of the things that you see on 4chan, they're not just being posted by random posters who are 4chan enthusiasts. There have always been these conspiracies that there are like I know, for instance, when you go on POV, for example, some people believe that there are like Russians being paid to shield for the Russian government and basically trying to make Russia look better than what it is. Then there are some people who say that you got the same thing going on the side of the Ukrainians, right? Like, that's just one of the things that you'll see. But you also see things like, okay, there's this whole conspiracy that like the black porn or interracial porn or cuck porn is being posted a lot on 4chan as a psyop. And again, I don't know how true this is. You know, one thing that I'm kind of suspicious of is the fact that they took away the post counter, or the poster counter. And really, I gotta be honest, dude, it's like, I kind of worry if it's possible that 4chan and its owners are working alongside the CIA or FBI or some type of government, like just handing over information or stuff. Like, I don't know, but it's really strange to me that a site like 4chan is just allowed to be, right? It is allowed to exist. And so Masterpiece 777 says on the Are Virgin Girls Better video, call it a coincidence, but my current girlfriend was a virgin until I came along, and she's the best girlfriend I've ever had, and also the first virgin I've had. And so right now we have an anecdotal example of the wonders of having a virgin girlfriend. But the only thing about it, because I think you kind of got to be careful with sort of pedestalizing the virgin girlfriend, because the fact is, every girl starts out as a virgin. That's the thing. I think that it's extremely normal for girls to lose their virginity around the age of, like, I say really anywhere from like 14 to 16. That's probably when most girls are going to lose their virginity. But if a girl makes it to like 20, 21, 22 as a virgin, because like the point I'm trying to make here is that I think it's a difference between a girl that's a virgin and a virgin girl. And what I'm saying is, all girls start off as virgins, but you can go from virgin to slut real quick. You can go from virgin to high body count real quick. And so I think that when guys talk about getting a virgin girlfriend, I think that it has to not just be a girl who's a virgin, but a girl who is kind of like a virgin with the intent of staying a virgin. The kind of girl that was more conservative in regards to how she expressed her sexuality, or whether or not, like, how quick she was willing to give it up or just plunge into the world of dating and sex and things like that. And I think that's part of what makes those types of girls very rare. Again, all girls start off as virgins, but how many are going to hold on to it out of a sense of principle? How many girls are going to remain a virgin for an extended period of time because of a conscious decision on their part, and not just because, you know, they haven't started their whole phase yet? But, you know, man, good for you. And so Sleeping Circumcision says on the chat, Marco calls out so-called porn addicts video. I just brought one out and keep it moving. Why all the drama? Exactly. I just did that like last night. I just did that last night. I was, you know, I took about an hour, and I was just like edging a bit and just busted a nut. And I was like, whoa, why did I masturbate to that? I cleaned up. And then, you know, I took me a nap. And again, man, it's just like you said, I think it just is way too much. It's way too much heat that's associated with pornography. And I don't get it. And I think a lot of it, like I said before, man, I think a lot of it is just, it stems from a normie mentality in regards to like how one should indulge in sex and things like that. All right, so Jim Flambino says on the Are Virgin Girls Better video, growing up, I've usually been friends with girls more than guys for whatever reason. One of my friends began sleeping with a lot of guys as we got to the end of our school years and only went with more and more guys as the years went on. Her views on sex and mine are completely opposed now, and I think our life experiences have a lot to do with that. She doesn't see sex as something you do with someone special, whereas I have turned down a lot of people over the years because I didn't trust them in that way. Now I'm married and my wife and I were both virgins and we both have exactly the same views on sex. I think it's important to meet someone who shares the same values as you in all aspects of life. If you date someone who doesn't think it's a big deal to sleep around, their relationship won't last long. And then Shapiro Dead King says, how do you find virgin women? That's a great question. Wouldn't we all like to know? But I completely agree with Jim Flambino here. I think it's, and I talked about this in the Ideal Girlfriend video, and my thing is, and even now I would say that yeah, I would prefer a virgin because a girl having sex with other men doesn't do anything to make her more attractive, right? But the main thing that I outlined in the Ideal Girlfriend video was that I wanted a girl with a certain perspective on sex, just like what he was talking about here. And I'm not saying it in a sense like, oh, she has to have the perspective of, you know, I'm saving myself for marriage, but I would like to be with a girl who is selective, the kind of girl that isn't just gonna have sex with a guy because he's hot or he's a bad boy Chad or something like that. You know, the kind of girl that, you know, takes things into account like a man's character, the kind of girl that would want to get tested before having sex, the kind of girl that would be concerned about getting pregnant, would want, you know, to basically have sex responsibly. And that's pretty much where my mind is at now. Like, if I'm ever going to become sexually active, I want to do so in a responsible way. I want to be careful, I want to be selective, and I want to be somewhat conservative. And I think that when I think about the ideal girlfriend, I want a girl who's like that. Again, she doesn't have to be a virgin, but I would like a girl who is selective, a girl who is somewhat sexually conservative and just isn't out, doesn't see having sex with random people as a small deal, or even something like, you know, sending nudes or starting up OnlyFans or something like that. Like, just too far out of bounds of what I would consider to be like in line with my perspective on sex. And so Ghostface says, gummy vitamins, come on, bro. Look, I think that we live in a time where a lot of people, they struggle to make good decisions on a daily basis. And sometimes I think that a way to get somebody on the right track is to kind of ease them into things. And I think if you're going to, like, if you're someone who doesn't eat vitamins or doesn't take your vitamins, what's a way to ease that person into it or transition them into regularly eating their vitamins? Hey, here goes some gummy vitamins, right? It's almost like the what you would do with a child, because you know, with children they'll have like the Flintstones vitamins, right? And I think it's kind of the same thing, where if what it takes to get somebody to start taking vitamins regularly is to just get them some gummy vitamins, go ahead, do it. You know, it's kind of like, I've seen some people criticize things like audiobooks, right? Because technically sitting down and reading the actual book is better for retention of information. Cool. But if a way to get somebody to start reading or consuming books is to get them to listen to audiobooks as opposed to sitting down with the book and reading it page by page, that's a step in the right direction. And so that's kind of how I look at the whole gummy vitamins thing. It's like normally I don't want to just push down these bitter tasting pills down my throat. And so a way for me to be consistent with taking my vitamins is just to have some gummy vitamins. Now, maybe one day I'll step up the hardcore meter and start taking regular vitamins. But for me, you know, it just helps as far as like allow me to be more consistent with taking them on a regular basis. And so Kimosabi says on the Are Virgin Girls Better video, Virginity was not just important, but crucial before and after the medieval ages, for the very same reason that the average person didn't have many resources to lose weight in their daily lives, let alone just for weddings and marriages. That's why virginity tests were excessive and severely punishable, because they really only had superstition and each other's word to take into account. But the thing is, we live in a completely different time. And I think that, I'm fine with guys not feeling like, okay, the girl has to be a virgin, because I think that, because me, I'm about freedom. I'm a freedom guy. And you guys know I'm not one of those guys that's like super anti-feminism. And I think one thing that we kind of have to accept as a result of feminism and the sexual revolution is that girls were no longer going to be as sexually conservative. Girls were no longer going to cling to their virginity out of trying to satisfy what men were attracted to. And so I think as an appreciator of freedom, whether it be men or women, I kind of have to accept that. But what I do dislike is just how men who still have that preference, how we're shamed. I think that's for me, that's the problematic aspect of what we see nowadays, where people don't even try to understand why men would prefer a girl who was a virgin, or even prefer a girl with a low body count. I feel like we've just we've strayed so far from the understanding of why. And I think really in the simplest terms, it really just gives us the ick. Just knowing that a girl has been with, like, now I feel it more than ever. Like, just knowing, like, sometimes I masturbate. Well, a lot of times I masturbate to like porn stars, and I'll masturbate to them. But when I think about actually dating them, knowing how many guys they've been with, like, I immediately feel sick to my stomach, and I just think that women just kind of have to accept that, okay, on one hand, I'm free, I'm sexually liberated, I can rack up my body count as high as I want, and that's what they're free to do now. But I think they also have to understand and accept that that's going to be a turnoff for some men. Some men are not going to like that. I think you can have both. You can accept that, okay, I'm going to be free to fuck however I want, but some men are not going to like that. And to me, that's the most balanced way of looking at it. I just wish that the shaming was taken out of the equation. And so Jack Deep Jano says on the Are Virgin Girls Better video, is it even a question or just common sense? Bring back slut shaming. I'm not with slut shaming. You guys do what you want. but and I say this wholeheartedly. Again, man, like, I'm just super pro freedom. And so I can't sit here and try to dictate and control what women do with their bodies. I can only express what I like. And I think that for me, if women want to be and I don't even like using the word slut. Like, I'd rather say promiscuous. I try to be nice. But if girls want to be promiscuous, I don't even have like some serious vendetta against that like some guys do. I know a lot of guys, they don't just commentate on the state of modern women and feminism and things like that. They're adamantly against that. They want women to actively be more conservative and things like that. But that's never really been my MO. If girls are going to be sluts, hey, fine by me. Because it's not like, and I guess I feel that way because I never saw a relationship as a necessity. So it doesn't really bother me because it's not like I need them anyway. If I can find a girl, now obviously I would rather have a girl that's a virgin. I would rather have a girl that's sexually conservative. And if I can find that, that would be great. I would enjoy that. That would be my preference. But I think because I'm not actively looking for a wife or anything like that, I can just sort of accept the current state of women for what it is, because it's no skin off my back. I'm going to enjoy my life and achieve my goals regardless of what women are doing. But I definitely understand guys not wanting to deal with those types of women. And that's no offense. Again, I don't have any hate for them. I just think that it's really a matter of compatibility. Because at the same time, for every guy like me, there are plenty of guys who not only are willing to get with women who are promiscuous and have been with a lot of men. You have men who are willing to raise another man's child, date women who already have kids, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. So again, it's somebody for everybody. That's why I don't even bother with trying to slut shame. And so Cool Name 8133 says on the chat, Marco calls out so-called porn addicts video. When someone fucks up their life on heroin, they may have been in a bad spot to get there. But the degradation is mostly the heroin, because heroin is a dangerous drug that changes you. When someone fucks up their life with porn, it's a reflection of themselves, their own mental health and potential personality disorders. People would ruin themselves with porn, would do extreme things for it, but it's a certain type of person with certain types of mental health problems that would do it. I guess I have to disagree with the thought that it doesn't happen, because I've seen it happen too much. I mostly agree with you though, that it isn't a big deal for most guys and they should calm down. And I think what he's trying to say is like something like heroin will take down the best of men. Heroin will destroy men with the highest level of achievement, money, great family, great upbringing, willpower. They can be spiritually strong, mentally strong, fit. Heroin will corrupt you inside and out, no matter how great of a man you are. And pornography is one of those things where it's like, if you let porn fuck you up, yes, it has more to do with who. It says more about who you are than the porn itself. It's something where, and I would even say that even with myself, you know, when I was really overindulging in pornography, like when I look at me as a person and what my shortcomings and my flaws are, is that, you know, things like seeking instant gratification, half-assing, laziness, things like that, wanting to use escapism instead of facing the problems and goals that I need to go ahead and get achieved. Like those were like my problems. And so I think for me, the extremes that I would go in terms of overindulging in pornography was more so about my lack of overall willpower to stay focused and on track with the things I needed to do. And as I got that under control, as I developed more mental toughness, more willpower, and more focus, naturally pornography became less and less of an issue. It's something now where, look, I have my days, right? I have my days where I wouldn't even like nothing close to how I used to do. But still, I would say like the worst thing I'll do now is like, because typically I'll masturbate like 3 to 5 times a week, right? And then like this is one of the mistakes that I'll make, where it's like I'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna masturbate until like the end of the week. I'll wait until like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just so I can enjoy some of that built up, you know, semen retention throughout the week when I want to be the most focused. And then by like Tuesday, right, I find myself like just checking out EX Hentai or Spank Bang or something, and I'll see something, and then one thing leads to another, and I'm masturbating on Tuesday when I was supposed to, right? That's the type of shit that I'll do now. But before, whoa, I mean, it was way worse. But again, I think that when I look back on my issues with pornography, it had more to do with me than anything else. Because if it wasn't pornography, it would have been something else. If it wasn't porn, I would have just been playing video games more, or shit posting more. But it was always just a means of escapism rather than the thing that was just corrupting me from the inside out, like a serious vice or harmful drug would have done. And so Hellbreaker says on the Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama video, DBZ definitely got me through some really rough times. Nothing will ever top the Goku versus Frieza fight on Namek. Not Naruto versus Sasuke, not Luffy versus Kaido, not Ichigo versus Aizen, no Chainsaw Man versus whatever devil or any other versus match in recent animes. Goku versus Frieza was some of the most legendary things I've ever witnessed in anime. It is. Give me a second. Let me just try to think of something I can compare it to, just real quick. As far as like a satisfying ultimate battle, you know, this is an underrated one, but in Fist of the North Star, Kenshiro versus Raoh. That's a good one. That's an old cut, but that's a good one. That's one of the legendary ones. I would say also Jotaro in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. Jotaro versus Dio. That's another good one. That's really good. But to find one up there with Goku versus Frieza, that's gonna be difficult. That's really gonna be difficult because you have like the most iconic transformation power up of anime, like the anime defining power up with Super Saiyan and what that meant. That's why it'll be so difficult. Like there are plenty of great fights. Like I think without that Super Saiyan moment, you would have a lot of competition, but it's hard because of the Super Saiyan. Cause Super Saiyan, that changed everything. It defined what a final anime art battle is supposed to be. It defined what anime power up is supposed to mean and represent for a main. Like it's that, to me, that aspect of it is really what puts it heads and shoulders above most, if not all, other epic top 10 anime battles of all time, top 20, top 50, whatever the case may be. And so Tori Blue says on the My Failed Job interview video, Chad, as someone who is successful and has interviewed at least 60 times, I literally have to pause the video at 8:05 because what you just said is the absolute most autistic thing you could have said in an interview. I think that was when I was talking about was that the part when I asked why would I self-sabotage by answering that question about what my biggest weakness is? Because that was pretty that was pretty crazy. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm too real. And I get that, like, in those situations, like, you're supposed to be a little bit more fake and you're supposed to be like more robotic in terms of like how you're answering the questions and what you're saying and things like that. And I felt like I just had too much of a real moment there where like I couldn't help but acknowledge and comment on the absurdity of that question. Like I get it from the perspective of the interviewer, but from the perspective of the person being interviewed, like why would you answer a question like that honestly? And that's pretty much where I was coming from. But I think again, that's not something that right. But again, man, like that's what being in your own world for so long would do to you. And so Kimosabi says on the Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama dies video, wonder what they're going to do with the series and all his other projects like Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, etc. I'm guessing it'll be a similar situation to Berserk, author's death, but even then his team only has to worry about finishing the manga. Dragon Ball media is so expansive and his other series have their own distinct fandoms and separate expectations. Well, you know, my main concern is Dragon Ball. I know that he, you know, was involved with Dragon Quest and things like that as far as like the art, but you know, for me, Dragon Ball is the main focus. And you know, I don't feel as bad about DBZ or Dragon Ball creator dying in terms of like the story aspect, because, and I think I said this before, but the story aspect of Dragon Ball is pretty much done if you really think about it. Like I feel like everything that we've gotten with Super has been a treat. It has been like the cherry on top to an already delicious cake. Because I think most of us had kind of just accepted. I think most of us had really just kind of accepted that Dragon Ball ended with that last tournament with Goku fighting Oob. Me personally, I don't like the ending. I don't like the way Dragon Ball ended before Super. So I'm glad that Super is a thing. I'm glad that they created Super, because again, I never liked that ending. It really did feel like the kind of ending of like, it wasn't as bad as Yu Yu Hakusho, because Dragon Ball had just hit so many high highs. You know what I'm saying? And it, like, Yu Yu Hakusho felt like it ended prematurely. Dragon Ball, even though I don't like the ending per se, we got so much out of it that it was hard to complain. But I'm glad that we got Super. But again, that's why I'm not too concerned about like what's left in terms of what they're gonna do with Super, because I just feel like Super was more than what we deserved. Super was more than what we deserved. I just think that the main thing is that people are probably just not going to take whatever is created as seriously anymore because the original creator is gone. I think that's, that just is what it is. It's just like with Berserk. Ever since the creator of Berserk died, I haven't heard anybody talk about any new story aspect of Berserk. Everything is just whatever happened before he died and his death. And it's like now people just don't care. And I'm not that plugged in to know, but I'm just saying like I would see things out the corner of my eye that I don't see anymore. And so Zan Cartoon says on the failed job interview video, it will all work out. Keep up the good work and content. Exactly. And then summarize, J707 says, I must have failed at least 20 job interviews since leaving high school in 2020. I'm just really bad at being interviewed. You literally just need to lie your ass off. Good video as usual, Chad Marco. Yeah, I get that. It's there is just, again, it's a thing where you gotta be kind of fake. You kind of gotta just fake it till you make it. And I didn't have to do that with my first job because I was already plugged in. I knew the boss. My sister helped get me the job, so I pulled up. I pulled up just being me, and everything was fine. And look, I'm not saying this is true, but my mom, bless her soul, she thought that maybe the lady who interviewed me was racist or something. And I was like, Mom, come on now, she's not racist. But the thing is, they have 3 new people working there since then. And they all white. They all white. And but that's not even the part that I'm bothered by. Whatever. It's the fact that she lied and said they were fully staffed. And how are you fully staffed and you got 3 new motherfuckers working in there? But whatever. Not Sans 9995 says on the Iris interview video, God, I can see why people simp. She would have been my dream girl when I was 23. Weird, nerdy black girls are such a rarity. Also pretty interesting to see how people get sucked into the rabbit hole. I always avoided R9K because it was depressing as hell. Shit posting on Code was more fun. V is more fun for me. But yeah, man, after the interview, I was having simp thoughts. And, that was part of the reason why I didn't immediately, follow up and start trying to talk to her like right after it happened. Because I felt like I was just too excited. I was too excited because I never met a girl that I felt like I clicked with like that. I never met a girl where I really liked her personality more than I like how she looked. And, again, I was like just too excited. And I'm glad I had the presence of mind to kind of take a step back and let that shit cool down and then, do the asking out and to receive my inevitable rejection. But yeah, dude, I get it. And that's one thing that I always think about, because as red pill as I am, as much as I've studied and researched like relationship dynamics and female nature, one thing I always worry is that, what'll happen if I get a girlfriend or meet a girl, and then now I have to put all these things into practice, and not just simp out of my mind and, stay centered in who I am, and deal with any girl that I happen to be with accordingly. Not saying like, you got to be cold and treat your girl like shit, but really just finding that right balance between, being quote unquote red pill and being true to who you are and centered as a man, and not simping and falling in love and tripping over yourself over a girl, but also, treating that girl right, being good to whatever girl you happen to be with. Like I think if I ever get a girlfriend, that's going to be the challenge for me, is finding that right balance. Because I think that, on one hand, obviously, I don't want to lose sight of who I am and what I need to do for myself and my family over a bitch. Because I see that happen all the time with guys. Guys get wrapped around a girl's finger and then you don't recognize them anymore. Like they lose all track of who they were before they met the girl. And so you got to kind of stay centered in who you are. But at the same time, again, I don't want to be so cold and red pilled that I'm just with a girl and I'm treating her like shit. So that's definitely something to think about. But yeah, weird, nutty black girls are yes. Especially where I'm from. Oh my God. And so Pumpkin 3405 says on my failed job interview video, lost my job during COVID, living with my mom in a 1-bedroom. Really sucked searching for a job for 10 months and having to keep telling my mom that people keep calling me or telling me I am underqualified and don't have a job for me month after month of rejections. And it was only after I finally got a job that I realized the silver lining that I got better at job interviews and got a really good resume out of my research. But along the way, my mom was supporting me every day, and sometimes I didn't even realize it. The cake your mom made doesn't need to be a job cake. It's a cake to celebrate your efforts and hard work in a way to show her support. You got a good mom. And you yourself said you got many positive out of this experience, even if it is a sucky experience. I got promoted last year at my new job. I hate my job, but at least I have one. And I'm moving forward. Wish you the best, Chad Marco. That's a great story. Fantastic. I'm happy for you, Pumpkin. And that's exactly how you got to kind of look at situations sometimes. It's kind of like, just to use sports as an example, everybody talks about Michael Jordan and the 2 3-peats, 3 rings from 91, 92, 94, and then 3 more rings, 96, 97, 98. But a lot of people forget he didn't get his first ring till he was like 27, 28. He spent his first like 7 or 8 years in the league, doing well, but he was getting his ass kicked by like he was getting his ass kicked by the Pistons and the Celtics, the Lakers. It took them a while to build a good Bulls team. And, it just kind of serves as an example of how, getting to where you really want to be at as a man or whatever in life, it's not always going to be instant. You got to look at the growth and the development that you have by going through these trials, by going through these obstacles. And sometimes something that I guess can be considered an overall failure can come with worthwhile experiences and data that you can use to improve your chances of success moving forward into the future so that you have a better chance of achieving your goal. So it's all about perspective sometimes. We take L's, we get knocked on our ass, and we experience failures and rejections and shit like that. But if you're conscientious of the whole experience and have an eye for detail, then you can extract key moments out of those experiences and sort of use those to help yourself develop and grow so that you have a better chance of succeeding next time. But that was the last comment of the night. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will see you on the next. So, Johnny.